Okay everyone, thank you for bearing with me and getting this far through the lesson. It's the last part of the lesson. On the next slide, what you'll see is there are a couple of slides now, slide 5 and slide 6, and these are about evaluating. And you've already done lots of work on PQA paragraphs and how to analyse language, because we'll be having a little bit more of a look at that in a moment. You'll have a chance to write a PQA paragraph yourself. There's just a moment here, you don't need to spend lots of time on this, but I've just dropped in a couple of slides which have got some evaluating words. On the first slide, there's just a list there of words that you might use to describe whether you think something is very good, whether it's successful. When we talk about evaluating, you might decide that something is good, you might decide that it's bad. But when we're writing at a secondary school level here at CCHS, we don't like to say, you know, this is a good metaphor, this is a bad metaphor, because that's a bit simple. It's not sophisticated enough for us. So here there's some better choices of words that you might choose, like a powerful metaphor or a vivid example of a particular type of language or something. So that's there. And on the slide after that, I've got an answer. This is just an example paragraph, so you don't need to write this, but an example paragraph, excuse me, based on the question of how successfully does Shakespeare show King Lear's state of mind in this scene, because that's what we want to investigate. What's going on in King Lear's head here? So I'm not going to read this through for you now, but take a moment as a pause point here just to read through that paragraph, and do that now for me. And we're back. You've just read through that, 30 seconds, it's all it's taken, and had a little bit of a think about how you can be using some of those evaluative words like vivid and clear and successful and interesting to bulk up some of the sort of paragraphs that we're writing. On the next slide, I want you to move on to slide 7 now. And here's a nice quick exercise. There are 4 images which are reproductions or interpretations of this scene as it's happening at the moment. I want you to pause again, and this is just for 30 seconds tops, but to look carefully at each of those 4 pictures and decide which one you think is the best representation of this scene. So 30 seconds to pause now. It's another pause point now. Back again. I wonder which one you chose. I think they all have strengths and weaknesses. I like the one in the top left-hand corner. I put it on the next slide as well. I like the way that the wind is blowing through his hair and his beard. I like the way that the fool is sort of tugging at his sleeve as if to tell him to stop. We need to get out of the rain. We need to go and find some shelter. You've got a link on this slide. We're on slide 8 now, and there's now a link to a video that's hosted on the Guardian website, which is a clip of an actor called Roger Allam, and he is doing a performance of this speech. A couple of things about Roger Allam doing a performance of this speech. The first thing is to say that in this selection of monologues that are called Shakespeare Shorts, what these are, they're actors who are doing one monologue straight to camera with basically no set or anything, because it's not taken from an actual production of the play. It's just a 2-minute clip. So it's not like this is in the middle of a 3-hour show that you're watching at the Globe Theatre or whatever. So bear that in mind. The other thing about Roger Allam is I really love Roger Allam because his voice is used on a TV show that my kids love called Sarah and Duck. I don't know whether you guys will know this or whether it was after your time. Sarah and Duck is a lovely little CBeebies cartoon, and Roger Allam's got this lovely, rich, warm voice. Anyway, I just like Roger Allam. I think his voice is great. Give the clip a watch and just make some decisions as you watch it, whether you think this is a good performance, whether this kind of fits in with how you think the speech should be done, whether maybe you think you should do anything different. So as a pause point now, so that you can watch that video, go. And we're back just 2 minutes later. You've had to think about whether you thought that was a good version of doing this speech. The next slide shows that, and this is slide 9, shows that in some theatrical productions, they actually have rain falling from the top of the theatre. They have the special effect of rain taking place in this scene because it just makes the scene so much more dramatic. And then we get to the last slide, slide 10. There are 2 questions on slide 10, but they are questions that will take a little bit of time. First one, I was asking you to do 2 PQA paragraphs using what you've already thought about with regards to the language from the speech, and absolutely by all means refer to the language points that we've already made in this video on this slide, or you can add in some of your others as well. The second question is, as a director, how would you instruct your actor to play the part of Lear in this scene? We've already actually thought about this a little bit. I don't want you to write more than 2 paragraphs for this question. 1 paragraph would be okay. 2 paragraphs is absolutely plenty, because it's possible you could go on for pages and pages doing this. So there's a maximum there of 4 paragraphs. I want you to spend the rest of the lesson time working on this, and if you don't quite finish that, you can finish it for whatever we call homework time at the moment, whatever homework is. So when you have the time, in your own time, just finish this off, because it's a lovely speech, and it's really good to just nail some of those ideas, and you'll practice your PQA paragraphs as well. Give it your best go, and that will be fantastic. Thanks for listening. It's been a pleasure to speak to you today again about the play King Lear, and next time we're going to be looking at a speech from a play called As You Like It. Thank you.